Surprise, bitch. I bet there was a moment just now when you thought to yourself, oh thank God. Thank the maker. Thank literally what the hell ever recalcitrant entity was, is now, or perhaps always has been responsible for piloting this story. Whoever it is whose cataclysmic fingers hang suspended and quivering with anticipation somewhere beyond the curtain of the world, whose hunched form lurks forever in the shadows. Its work seemingly unimpeded by the very real threat of a chronic lumbago, making no sound, giving no speech to thought, save for that fateful moment where first one elongated phalanx and then another, crosses the threshold between thought and reality, when 10 declamatory digits, possessed for the moment of a zealous frenzy, reach down and set the air astir with the heart-rending creative cacophony of an overly rambunctious mechanical keyboard. Whichever accursed species of demiurgic figure that is, you thought, let's just thank the ever-living fuck that this time they decided to call it a night and get out the drawing tablet instead. Finally, this story is back in the rails. Maybe we can get back to what things were like in the good old days, where boys were brave, girls were guileful, authors were alliterative and in various dubious states of double death. And this comic made at least a little bit of sense to more or less everybody. No more dealing with narrators, unreliable and not. No more embittered scrimmages over the bounding metafictional reality within which everything transpires. No more stupid tang-tinted text. Your collective sigh of relief is deafening. Well, tough shit. This store.
ROSEBOT, Dirk. What are you doing in there?
Ah, fuck, hang on a second. Gotta take care of this. Rose's voice echoes tinnily out of my newly alchemized, computer-integrated shades. The infidelity of the transmission is due to her voice being slightly too high definition for the speakers to reproduce it faithfully. There's an audio format even better than analog, it turns out, and that's what replaced Rose's vocal cords when I scooped up her rapidly dissipating soul and installed it in a robot body. I have it on authority that decanting is sometimes necessary to ensure a wine is at its best. I like to think that the same was ultimately true of her. Dirk. Oh, nothing important. Dirk. To the extent that anything that you or I do is even capable of being unimportant anymore. Dirk. Which extent is admittedly teetering a few microns shy of Jack Dick right about now. Dirk. The point is. Dirk. Don't worry about it. I'm just doing a bit of housekeeping.
Well, pardon me for interrupting a prior engagement. Don't let me get in the way of all the dusting you must be doing. I just imagined you wearing an apron over your god-tier outfit and almost felt my facial fuselage buckle in such a way as to approximate a fleeting smile.
Dirk. Fuck, you got me. Dirk. Your uncanny seer powers are at work once again. Dirk. I'm just waiting here for an errant gust of wind to jostle my petticoats, unfortuitously exposing my undergarments to the lurid gaze of whatever prurient peeper might be watching. Dirk. Don't look. I cry in futile embarrassment. But the damage is done. My fragile anime purity has been shamelessly violated.
That ungodly noise of screeching metal you just heard was my titanium-reinforced thorax crumpling into a cartoonish posture of helpless mirth.
Dirk. All right, we get it, you are literally a robot. Dirk. No need to keep pointing it out every chance you can get. I used to get enough of this with the autoresponder.
One of the fundamentals of bad science fiction. Rosebot, I'm just playing along. One of the fundamentals of bad science fiction is that any artificial beings must make their inorganic nature known at every juncture they can.
Dirk. Do overly precise and completely meaningless statistics that you pull out of your ass on the fly also count?
Ozbot, oh absolutely. Ozbot, oh absolutely. That's one of the first things you just sort of spontaneously learn when being booted up. For example, I've calculated that by making these remarks I have raised the base level of amusement in all my conversations by 36%.
Dirk. Well, I don't personally find them very funny.
No, but I do. It averages out, you see.
Dirk. Okay, but like what are you actually calling me about?
Rosebot, I just thought you might like to know that we're getting pretty close to your chosen crash site. We can head down to the planet below as soon as Terezi's finished working out how we do that.
Dirk. How to land? Dirk. Dirk. Wait, crash site.
Like Rosebot, yes. Among the features of this ship that were considered indispensable by its creator, which included multiple fully stocked drinks cabinets, a movie theater, and an 8-lane shooting range. A landing gear appears to have fallen just a little outside the realm of vital. Or rather, hurtled into the ground. Like we'll be doing, in case the message wasn't clear.
Dirk. Dirk. Ah. Dirk. Gotcha. Dirk. God damn it, English.
Ozbot, assuming your busy work is more or less done by now, I'll get Terezi to set a course. If she hasn't wandered away from the helm already. She's been getting pretty impatient.
Dirk. So. Dirk. I just want to get this on complete lockdown before I strap myself into the safety harness we'd all better hope wasn't also omitted from the design schematic of this stupid ship. Dirk. We're letting Terezi smash us into the planet we've been hunting for 3 years. Dirk. Should she even be driving this thing?
Rosebot, don't be such a chud, Dirk. Of the three of us, she has by far the most experience operating any kind of flying vessel. And just as much if not more experience of crashing them. Besides, it's not like the two of us have anything to worry about. It's Terezi that needs to be careful. She's functionally mortal, remember?
Dirk. You mean to say that you don't think we'd be in peril if it came to it? Dirk. There's nothing about our situation that strikes you as falling within the bounds of precarity, as far as the rules are concerned.
At least not. Rosebot, oh. You're right. I suppose I hadn't thought of that. But I think we can remain calm in the knowledge that nothing particularly heroic is going on right now. At least not that I'm aware of.
Dirk. Right. Dirk. Give me a couple more minutes here, then we can head planetside. Dirk. There's a few stray dust motes still left to eradicate.
Rosebot, just don't get too attached to having everything organized neatly, will you?
Rose signs off the call without much fuss. She knows that I'm not really cleaning, but doesn't care enough to know what I'm actually doing. I know that she knows this, but I don't care enough that she knows, nor do I care that she doesn't give a shit. We're all just here, not giving a flying fuck, like a normal, functioning group of people. I walk, oh no, right, I don't have to do that explicitly. It's easy to get into the habit of just narrating everything, even when it's a bit creatively redundant. This is where the advantage of visuals comes in, to make my life as an omniscient overseer a little bit less tedious. I can just do whatever, and we can all see it happen, and nobody has to fight with a testy cherub lady for control of their own legs or anything. No need to pull a whole thesaurus out of my ass just so I can go to the bathroom. Seriously, it's a big relief. That doesn't mean this gestures to the narrative isn't still going to be a thing, though. Sometimes retreating back into the warm, welcoming folds of traditional prose is just going to be the best way forward, and as someone whose mind is uniquely capable of understanding this conceit, I'll be the determining factor as to when and where it happens. I think that's more than reasonable. And yes, I am capable of being reasonable. All in all, I think you'll find, as far as narrators go, I'm an excellent. On second thought, maybe that's a bit of a problematic phrase. Yeah, yikes, that one's got a sordid history. Best we steer clear of it. We're all lucky I'm around to make those kinds of sensitivity judgments on everyone's behalf. Speaking of which, I think it's time I started undoing some of the more egregious mistakes this story has been subjected to over the years. Yes, I'm talking about that guy. The other orange one. Remember him? Vriska got stalked by him a bit and it was uncomfortable for everyone concerned. Anyway, the point is that he fucked up big time, and I'm here to clean up the horseshit. It's time to get this story back on the rails, back to what it was always supposed to be. I know it, and you've somehow always known it too. There was something else, some other route that Homestuck was meant to take but then didn't, a way that wouldn't have spent so much time dicking around with stuff nobody cares about. Like seriously, why did we all have to sit through talking about everyone's most intimate and private feelings for 200,000 fucking words? That would never have happened in Act 1. Where did it all go wrong? I've had some time to think about these kinds of problems, and to come up with a solution. And I'm prepared to do what he couldn't, in order to save Paradox Space from the destruction brought upon it. I'll do what it takes and don't think I won't. The author is dead. Long live the author. Look, I know what you're all really craving. I've been studying canon, or rather, what's left of it, and I think I've found it. The critical moment, in the wake of which everything started to take a nosedive into the protracted, endless slog of sheer insufferability we got saddled with near the end. This was the single most crucial error in the process that led to the present situation. The day when the story was wrested screaming from the arms of its readers like a bawling infant and carried helplessly away. From then on to be raised according to the whims of a masochistic menace with no thought for you, the common fan. So now, I propose we turn the clock back to a better era, and take back what was rightfully ours. No longer will the way forward be subject to tyrannical rule. No more shall the will of the masses be cajoled and browbeaten by the impervious husnasti diktat. Never again will we have to endure the terrible beating of wings, as the great moth of titillation arrests the humours of an enormous terrible old beggar, whose vulturous leathery vice grip holds us close and whispers, "I know best," in the dead of night. It's time. My name is Dirk Strider. What will I do? Suggest commands in the box above. DS. OK. That's enough. DS. Dirk. Commune. Channeling my full potential as an ascended player of heart, I expand my consciousness to commune with the boundless force of collective willpower that is the Internet. My mind floods with its divine potency, a million formless cries coalescing into a sequence of discrete, formal instructions. It is a maelstrom as chaotic as it is deafening. And yet from this formless, uninterrupted spate of hard, unembellished data, a single suggestion takes form, as if bubbling up from a vast, infinite ocean of possibility. It is a whispered prayer to a compassionate God whose ear attends faithfully the will of his believers. Okay, let's see what you chucklefucks came up with. You know what? You've convinced me. There's no way I'm fucking with this shit. I'm nobody's puppet, of course. But this was going to be a little fun we had together. A callback to simpler times. I just wanted to play a game, and you were going to be part of it. That submission box was my olive branch, dipped tentatively and at arm's length into the trash furnace of creative potential known as online. But I should have known better. People think you can run a story like this. This must be just about the stupidest idea anyone has ever come up with. I'll just have to make up the commands myself from here on out. Seemed to work okay for the other guy. Dirk. Examine room. C. That wasn't difficult. Seriously, what's wrong with you people? This is my private study on board the Theseus, a lightspeed-capable vessel built for tearing around the cosmos like there's no tomorrow. This is where I keep all of my prized artifacts, canonical keepsakes, and other assorted objects of historical and/or artistic pertinence. Some of these items were really hard to come by, requiring very creative use of my full faculty as an ascended harp player. The rest was just stolen from my friends' houses when they weren't looking. It's nothing they'll miss, though. I also keep my flora of the succulent persuasion in here, so's I can keep an eye on them. Make sure nobody's eating any. It's happened before. This is where I come when I want to sit and think about important plot details, which is pretty much any time I'm not training or laying down mad enfilades of philosophical shit with Rose. It's important to have things around to remind me of where we came from. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Maya Angelou. The ship itself is being borrowed in perpetuity and has served as our home for the past 3 years. It wasn't originally called Theseus, or anything else for that matter. The prior owner didn't think that kind of thing was worth the effort. But I know better. Speaking of names, I've been workshopping potential designations for the new planet, which we're apparently gonna crack this ship against like a bottle of champagne on the prow of a Virgin steamer. I still need to talk it over with Rose, though. Dirk. Contemplate equine iconography. Beautiful, isn't it? A piece of this quality deserves nothing less than the pride of place in my private collection. Am I being sincere about that? Who the fuck can even say? A parting gift from an old flame, it was given to one of my splinters in a distant timeline before ending up in my possession via lots of complicated shit that I don't wanna get into. This painting used to belong to one of the most powerful men in Earth's history, and now it belongs to one of the few people ever to hold him in the palm of their hand. It came with a note, which has since been misplaced. But I know the words by heart. Dear Dirk, in memory of our precious time together. When you look at it, think of me, and be reminded that while we breathe, we hope. B.O. Paint. Paper. Get to work. Nah. This is face paint, not for painting pictures. Unless those pictures happen to be on a face, I guess. This set of paints and the charred remains of my horned headband are the only surviving relics of the first and last worldwide interspecies role-playing session we ever attempted on Earthsea. Calliope got it into their head that dressing up in cosplay would be a fun community activity. Vantus had some very uncharitable things to say about the idea, and for once in his life I think he was right. This thing was an unmitigated disaster from start to finish. A complete bloodbath. I'd spent months perfecting my character. Countless late nights were devoted to scrupulously studying the intricacies of old AUTOTUNE culture. Every inch of my body was coated in cloying, meticulously sealed grey paint. Yes, even there. I know you were thinking it. It was the perfect trollsona. I was a highblood called. No, on second thoughts, let's not get into it. Some things are too painful to remember. Inspect delicious houseplants. "3 years is no small amount of time. While I spent a lot of it in pursuit of a greater understanding of combat and philosophy, that doesn't mean there wasn't room for life and love in the equation too. Plants are basically the ideal friends. They don't constantly question your decisions, or try and undermine your authority, or suggest that perhaps you should try talking about your feelings every once in a while. Plants lie down in the dirt and take it, metaphorically speaking. I've genetically enhanced these succulents to make them more hardy in a low-gravity environment. They all got drastically discolored as a side effect, but frankly they look better like this. The downside is that I'm not the only person who's taken a liking to them. And speaking of which. Delicious houseplants. Oh god damn it.